Hey, welcome to Web3 Weekly with your host, Blockstar Technology.
Let's go. Alrighty, so Twitter Nation, Insta Nation, and also the YouTube guys. Pretty much we are live today. This is our 21st episode of our podcast, Web3 Weekly podcast. So today we have Sekure. And we'll pass on to Sekure to give a little bit of an intro about himself. And today we are missing Maureen, so it's myself, Craig, and Charlie here, and our prestigious guest, Sekure. Right? Off to you,
Hey,
man.
guys, thank you for having me on. Yeah, I guess a quick summary is I'm an artist and designer from Melbourne, Australia, as you can probably tell from the accent and the room behind me. I've been working in streetwear, fashion, and sort of hype culture holistically for nearly 18 years. I've worked for a lot of big brands, both corporately, as a designer, as a consultant, as an artist. And I've been in crypto since like 2017 and NFTs for pretty close to 2 years now. So nice to talk to you guys.
Awesome. So Matt, I've been following you for a while, and I love your podcast. The value that you bring in is like really cool. And I had to tell before we start, I just want to tell a quick story. Basically, I already mentioned this to you, so I was never into like sneakers. I just I love NFTs, but I saw the culture bit, but I was never really into it. And then when I came across you, I was like, oh, who's this Sekure guy? You know what I mean? He's like everywhere. And then I was like following you and reading through your posts and everything else, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this. I had a bit of a sneaker fetish when I was young, about 20, 30 years ago or shit, and I was like, oh, this is cool, I got that nostalgic, thing, and it's like, oh, this is cool. So then I've been listening, and then I joined, I bought into the Mintage NFT project, and then I got one of the sneakers from that. I one of them from Sam Witherden, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And that's it, so you inspired me to get on it, and then, here you go. I got on those like super custom sneakers. So thank you.
Thanks, great. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I think it's a really fun crossover because I think NFTs obviously play into that like collectability mindset, that hype culture that we all know very well is I would say when it comes to hype though, like NFTs are unlike anything I've ever lived in the past, whether it's like streetwear fashion, sneakers, designer toys. The ups and downs of this space are an accelerated rate of like 100 times over anything I've experienced before. But I think that it's just so translatable. And I think that for me, what excites me the most, and I say this a lot in spaces, is I remember going to like the first ever swap meet that I ever went to for sneakers, and there was like less than 100 people there. I was first in line. I wasn't sure anyone else was going to show up. I was like, am I the only person who cares about shoes besides the people that organize this event? And then, 20 years later, I still talk to, so many of those people that I met that night. And I feel like we're in a similar position now. And obviously you guys know it and feel it as well. But like for me, being a part of like the emergence of a subculture into something so much more than that is a really exciting wave to be a part of. And I look at the hundreds of millions of people that buy into or collect sneakers and toys and fashion and collectibles every year, and what a microscopic percentage of those people who know what NFTs and digital collectibles are at the moment. And I go like, the opportunity here is endless, especially with players like Nike and Adidas and everyone already jumping in. So I am really excited and passionate about where we're at and where we're going. And I'm excited that like people find something out of the space that I bring. I feel lucky to be able to combine so many things I'm passionate about into the space at the moment, and that's actually what gave me my career. I studied finance, which is probably why I like crypto.
Wow.
And I started doing graffiti on sneakers, and by the time I finished my uni degree, I was like, man, can I make a career doing art? I can avoid the bank. So, I pursued that, and here we are like 18, 19 years later. So I have a knack for finding a way to combine a bunch of things I love into one, and crypto and NFTs seem to be the thing that resonates with me most at the moment. So I'm excited that you enjoy it.
Can I ask for you, what came first? Was it the art or was it the sneakers?
Sneakers. It was definitely sneakers. So I was raised very like strict Catholic Italian, so I didn't have a lot of choice in my education, as you can imagine. So it was maths, science, commerce, and I didn't study any kind of art at all. Never have. I'm 100% self-taught in everything I do and have done. So I would say it was definitely a passion for basketball. At the age of 13, the day I turned 13, I got a cash job in a bakery as a janitor after school to earn money to buy Jordans. So
Nice.
it was definitely sneakers. And then by the time I was like 18, 19, sneaker culture started to blow up. And I was like, I want something that no one else has. I don't want something that 500,000 people have. So I started just painting my own sneakers. And then posting, this will date me and tell you how old I am. I started posting them on MySpace. And then months later, I was making them for rappers in America. It was just like a serendipitous accident that ended up changing my life, I guess. So yeah, it kind of worked out for the best. But sneakers definitely came about 4 or 5 years before the art did.
Yeah. Oh, can I comment on your background? Those figurines look sick, man.
Yeah, this is the studio. So this is where I sit for way too many hours every day. I obviously want to work towards a bigger space. If you could see the rest of this room, it's chaotic. There's very little room to breathe in here, but I have a cabinet off to my left that you can't see on screen. That's like all my work, all my collaborations and stuff. And then behind me is toys designed by companies that I've worked for or designed by friends or something that inspires me. And I actually, as an artist, did the like global Comic-Con tour for a few years. So like New York, Singapore, Hong Kong. And I would always buy something at every event I went to kind of remember it. I'm not big on taking photos, so I just kind of collect stuff as I travel. And what you see behind me is a lot of that journey.
Man, that's so cool. Mate, so I heard your backstory being in spaces. I would love for you to sort of, tell us what that journey, progress, so far for you.
Yeah, so basically 2 years ago, I was sitting in the kitchen working on a spreadsheet for an uninspiring outcome, and a friend of mine that is a very well-known artist, his name is Justin Meller. He's like the godfather of like digital art. I always quote that to him as a joke because the first time I ever met him, I read an article about him like the day before I went and caught up with him, and we just played basketball for like 5 hours. He had a drop on Nifty Gateway, and he had an event that changed his life. And like I was like tearing in the living room as like a friend of his, like watching his hard work be rewarded by this new technology called blockchain and NFTs, and the reward for decades of hard work of digital art and being a master of his craft being rewarded financially rather than just exploited by companies was like a mind explosion for me. And he'd been on my back about NFTs, like, with my art style, it's quite translatable into vector, it's quite cartoon, so it works well in the space. And obviously we knew that sneakers was going to play a role in this space eventually. So after that, we just continued to talk about it more, and I decided to buy in and educate myself. I don't know if you remember Savage Droids. So I bought into Savage Droids and Deadfellas pretty quickly, and then found out that NFTs were more than just selling JPEGs. It was about like community and finding, a place that brought you whatever you wanted it to bring you. And I think the Deadfellas community displayed to me that NFTs could build what forums built in the 2010s. I used to run a forum with 500,000 people on it, and I was like, oh shit, this feels familiar, really fun. So the community element was like the last missing piece of the puzzle for me that really got me sucked in. So ever since then, it's been NFTs every day, and just working towards eventually launching my own project, being involved in projects I'm passionate about, and giving value back to people that want to get involved and educating them about how to do it safely. So yeah, it's been a crazy, I can't believe it's 2 years. Like it's nuts. Wow. Like the hours are endless, but the days go fast. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's same with us here, right, Charlie? I mean, you can,
Yeah, I know. Well, Blockstars, we're almost at 2 years now, and
Yeah.
we've got a lot done, but it just feels like it's been done so quick as well. Like
The time just
living in
disappears,
the dog years.
Dog years,
Yeah,
dog
It
years,
goes back to
and that's what we are saying. Like, if you like, coming from Web2 space, coming to this one, it's just like super fast, isn't it? Like, and you can't keep up with it. Like, that's the thing is,
yeah.
I think it's really interesting, right? So like coming from an artist point of view, I would work on a project traditionally 12 months out, and then like for a corporate point of view, like 18 to 24 months out.
Yep.
Now you drop something, and two minutes later, people want what's next.
Yes.
It's just like, and we end up in a space where there's like no reward for outcome on the artist side. So yeah, it's very different, and like it definitely keeps you on your toes. There's, I think there's real excitement, energy around the pace at which you can create in this space and be inventive and like recreate yourself or bring something new and exciting. I wish people on the other side of the fence sometimes would breathe, take a breath before like hammering people for something else. But that's the space that we're in, and we'll evolve into something more mature over a longer period of time, which I think is already happening this year. I mean, like the first 3 or 4 weeks, I feel like have been a bit more chill and there's a bit less pressure. Maybe that's because some degen mints have done well and people are a little bit less stressed. But yeah, the pace is unbelievable. I try and explain to people. I get a lot of questions from people about like how their project can work with brands. Like it's like the number one thing in my inbox. Like X project has minted out, has a 2 week floor. How can we work with a sneaker brand? And I'm like, okay, first things first. It's January 2023. The product won't come out till the end of 2024. Like, how's your roadmap for the next 2 years? And then like the conversation kind of like gets weird, right? Because in this space, if you don't have a plan for tomorrow, you don't have a plan for 2 years away. So trying to mesh the Web 2 and Web 3 world is really interesting right now.
Yeah, I mean 100%. Like Charlie, what do you?
Yeah, I agree. Like we travel at a fast pace, open source, decentralized. It's a game changer for innovation, and I've seen it over the years happen in numerous ways. And once it gets done well, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like finally, it like got pulled off and it's working. And I see, that's going to be the standard that will probably go forward until we innovate again, which
100%.
can be a month away, 6 months away. It's not really longer than 4 years, though.
And it's not just the speed at which it's travelling at or progressing, it's the breadth of and what it's covering, which is why it's so difficult to keep up. It's not necessarily that you can't keep up with the speed.
Makes sense,
But it's just such a wide variety of everything that's being innovated that you need to specialise. You got to pick your own specialties, or you won't keep up with that if you're trying to keep up with everything. Yeah. So.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, I actually had this discussion with some Moonbirds today. I'm in a Moonbird space and I'm a holder, so we catch up pretty regularly. And I was like, man, I've got to start selling out of projects I love because I just can't keep track of them. I'm missing free mints. I'm missing like claims. I'm missing staking. Like, the space is evolving so much. And then you take into account wanting to get back into DeFi, following the crypto charts. Like, there's just so much more. I think you're 100% right. And I think that it's exciting that it gives people opportunity to like specialize in a space that like a year ago, I could be across everything, without much stress. I wake up this morning and I'm like, okay, what do I do first? I go on IC Tools or OpenBlur. I go and like check CoinSpot. Like I check pricing. I've got 115 new alerts on Discord. Which ones are important? Like what have sold overnight? Like it's hard, right? So I think for me, I'm dedicated to narrowing focus at the moment because you can only be a master of a few things, otherwise you're a master of none. And being in 150 odd projects and not being a valued contributor to those projects then as well is not really great for the ecosystem. So I hear you agree. I think it's both. I think the pace, but also the breadth is something that we don't discuss a lot because it's just I want to spend my day creating, not catching up on Discord.
Exactly, right?
I think it speaks volumes for the amount of I guess, space and room for other people to join
Yes.
the Web3.
Yeah. At the moment, I guess when you started like 2 years ago, it was easy to keep up with, like, oh, it's like 2 projects, oh, it's another project, third project, and oh, another project, fourth project, oh, another project, and before you know it, now you're like into like 7, 8. I got like 30 odd Discord channels in there, and I can't keep up with anything. You know, I keep up with like VFriends, Mintage, and Kingship, and few of those like that. And I just like, you know what? Other ones are like maybe once or twice a week type of deal, because it's just like, you know.
Yeah. And getting back to the question before, Sekure, how do you see brands as we know it? Like, we've seen great work from Nike and Artifact working together, and we've got a sort of a new way of supporting fashion with QR codes and AR. But how do you see brands coming into this space in, say, the next 5 years or 10 years as such, and what that movement looks like from your experience?
Yeah, I did a lecture, I spoke at NFT Fest about like digital fashion, and I think for me, like, this is the biggest revolution in fashion for 15 plus years. I think the way that we interact with brands will be different from now until the end of time, based on what we see available to us over the next 12 to 18 months. I think Nike have set a blueprint, and not every brand works. You know, Lacoste did a PFP project.
Yeah.
Why? You know, Porsche didn't mint out. I'm not going to shit on Porsche. There's enough people on Twitter doing that.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll give you some examples of where I think this is going to go, right? Like, and I'll use like numbers, right? So if we speak to Nike, for example, there's on average approximately a $6 billion resale market of goods on secondary, with a sneaker industry total valuation globally being like $140-150 billion.
Wow.
Nike has never been able to tap into that secondary revenue because they sell at recommended retail price, so legally you can't go back and resell your own product. However, if X percentage of those digital collectibles are sold as NFTs, rather than actual pairs of footwear that are interoperable or able to be worn in NBA 2K, you know, it can be burnt or redeemed for tangible goods, you have the opportunity to skim royalty on the secondary sale of them how many times?
Yes.
You know, we've seen Artifact generate approximately $650 million in total revenue as a business model to date. If the numbers aren't enough, for me, brands are trying to be more sustainable than ever before. And I think, you know, people are, there's this like interesting thing about sneakerheads where you want to flex, right? But I've got 500 pairs of shoes in the garage. What good are they doing?
Yeah.
Well, we can have a digital wardrobe that anyone can see at any point in time. I think we're living our lives more digitally now than ever before. So goods can come with AR filters attached. I think we'll launch brands out of the Web3 space before they ever hit shelves. It's just so exciting for me. I could rant for an hour, but
Yeah.
I think Nike set a blueprint. I don't think brands need PFPs anymore. I think you need a genuine way to add value to the customer experience. And rather than a brand launching a PFP, I'd like to see something like this. I go to Foot Locker. The Foot Locker app is like Starbucks. It's integrated into whatever chain you want, Polygon, ETH, whatever. So I have an on-chain reward system connected to my wallet. So I go in and I make a purchase in Foot Locker. There's a Web3 redemption station that adds credit, however, digitally to my wallet through my purchase. I buy a pair of the new Mellow Ball 2s. I go home. By the time I get home, I'm airdropped a digital version of the Mellow Ball 2 as part of the reward for the in-store experience, because I don't want these brands to continue to exclusively be extractionary. I want to add value. So then you have the opportunity to then sell that item and recoup part of the price of your original purchase, or like through the lens of interoperability as we move forward through different various metaverses, wear them on your character. Like Fortnite, for example, earned, I think there was like $8 million of revenue generated in 48 hours of selling NFL merch, just basically garments with logos on it. So like the roadmap for all of this is built. We just need the pieces to be put together. And I think we'll stop seeing so many PFP brand launches. I think we'll see a lot more dynamic trade integration. I think we'll see a lot more brands dipping their toe in rather than going hard. I think a lot of the brands that jumped in 18 months ago didn't realize they had to set a game plan out for the future. I think they thought it was just a good way to make money short term. So I think it'll evolve a lot. I think the customer experience will be primarily driven through loyalty, brand, app integrations, but then there's just so many fun things we can do. And, Fabricant is already showing that through their partnership with Vogue and the stuff that they're doing from a digital fashion point of view. So that was a lot, sorry, but
It's awesome.
There's so many things to do in this space when it comes to fashion.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, that's a crazy thing, right? Even hearing to you, Sekure, it's just like it opens our minds. Like, I mean, like, we are in this space. We are doing projects. We are doing audits. We are doing all this. We are also doing 3D. We got 3D artists, and we are doing all that stuff. But still, listening to what you just told us, like, oh wow, that's cool. I think a lot of people think of like, oh, this is what happens in the real world. Let me take you to the metaverse. Let me take, okay, you know what? Let's go and watch whatever, right? I don't think people are still. I guess you have to be empathized with them because they can't see what that is yet. Because I think apart from Nike, even Adidas didn't execute on their thing properly. It was just like stale. I don't know what happens there. Apart from Nike, I don't know who has really done something like, So.
Well, I think the thing about them too is, right, I say this, so I worked there for 8 years. It was a while ago, but so like I have brand bias, like I did work there part of my career, and I've done a bunch of artwork, and I did a collab with Jordan Brand, so like I'm pretty familiar with them. I would say that like as much as anything from a product point of view, Nike is arguably maybe the best marketing agency in the world, right? And I think where they see an opportunity, they drive brand value. And I'll give you 2 reasons why I think that this sets like the trend off for the wider market and sets a blueprint. One, Nike had their annual meeting a couple months back, had 4 logos on stage. The Jumpman for Jordan Brand, the swoosh for Nike, the Converse check, if you don't know, Converse is owned by Nike, and then they had the Artifact blade next to it. Like I get chills talking to you about that. Like that as like a brand is like so immensely important to them. So they are dedicated to making this work. I know that they're staffed up. Artifact is continuing to push from strength to strength with the launch of Project Animus impending and their pod burn this week. But on top of that, if that isn't enough to show you like the brand investment and dedication to their product from a Web3 point of view, I would say that they got into skateboarding in the early 2000s, and the skateboarding community was very FU to Nike. They were like, you're culture vultures, you don't belong. Who's the biggest skateboarding company in the world today? It's Nike, right? Like, and by a long shot, it's not even close. So when it comes to like dedication and the success to make this kind of project work, even if you look at the fact that they launched their project with Farouk on Rug Radio rather than going traditional Web2 media,
that's a good point.
They're dedicated to making it work. If you're a brand sitting on the periphery watching what's happened so far, they're providing everyone with a roadmap. And I think that when people find out about what brands are doing over the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be a lot of missteps, right? There's going to be products that do and don't work, but I think that, there's a lot of people coming along for the ride and realizing that maybe they can commercialize their brand in the world of esports through this lens where every brand in the world has tried to commercialize esport over the last decade and failed because I play games in my socks and tracksuit pants, not performance clothing and energy drinks. So it's going to be, I really think they've set a landmark up for everyone to follow.
I mean, it's, I guess probably if a lot of other artists, the digital artists, right, following you, I feel like they'll be thinking like, oh my God, how is this guy doing this stuff? Like superhuman, right? Doing this art there, doing this, that here, and then all these things, right? So like we have, we talk with different artists, whether it's like sculpture artists or digital artists or painting, like oil paint, artists. And so for them, they're still not, like traditional artists are not seeing the value of it because, again, because this is not touchable, no one's really talking there, like, I don't know how, it's like, oh, crypto is a scam and type of things, right? And that's okay. I mean, look, I think it's be like long-term onboarding process, right? So when you got onto the whole crypto space, what was that one thing that if you can think back to, it flipped the switch for you as an artist. Oh shit! I think. Oh sorry. You know what? Damn! I should go on. Dive deep. You know what I mean? That rabbit hole. So, what was that one thing for you that you can really remember that inflection point?
I think from from a finance education point of view, the premise of crypto I find extremely intriguing and worthwhile and extremely beneficial. And I believe today, as I did 6 years ago, that it will change the world, and it's already starting to. And I think the conversion into crypto after it matured out of its early implementation phase, to me was just a no-brainer. I can't think of a specific moment, but from the beginning of that, introduction to me, 2014, 15, that just made a lot of sense. So the conversion into NFTs, if I'm being honest, was way harder for me. It took me a long time to understand the value of NFTs, and I'm talking over 2 years ago, before this is when CryptoKitties was around and I wasn't paying attention and all this sort of stuff. I was just I don't see it, I don't understand. And I was in my 30s, I wasn't gaming anymore, but I knew Pokemon was making $1 billion a year on Pokemon Go. I knew that NBA 2K was making all their money off store purchases. I knew there was an appetite. I worked for a brand that was doing esports, so I knew what the revenue from an esport point of view was. I just couldn't connect the dots for art. And then it was the digital. So many digital artists go undervalued, right? Their art is perceived to be less than something on a canvas because people don't understand how it's made. And they don't understand that maybe a digital piece by Boss Logic or Justin Mallow or someone might take 30, 50 hours and 15 years of technical training to execute. And seeing the provenance provided to that digital artwork was the thing that actually changed my mind about the value of NFTs. It was adding authenticity, ownership, and provenance to digital artwork rather than the right-click save mentality, and then providing these artists the opportunity to build their career outside of working for brands or doing graphic design jobs that they didn't want to do. It actually gave artists that I looked up to and was friends with the opportunity to be themselves and have a career off their own back. And if you look at so many of these artists that are Psych from Dead Fellas, Pack, the list is endless, right?
Yes.
Rafik Anadol, Tipatron from Australia, it's just beautiful to see it. And for me, anything that supports artists that way and then give them the opportunity to earn royalties off the sale of their products, that changed my mind entirely. And then sitting in the kitchen and seeing one of your friends win is the best experience.
That's cool.
And then after that, I was like, man, I should have listened 6 months ago. How can I do this now? Let's stop being ignorant and hate, just being a hater for no reason. Let's learn.
Yes.
And then I've kind of taken that mentality to try and bring as many people along for the ride as well. And I know a lot of Web2 artists that we're converting into Web3 artists because of the opportunity that this world affords us to be creative, own our own future, and have a greater living without someone taking 50% of the gallery, which is also nice. So it's been, it was definitely a few things, but it took a minute, and now I'm fully unlocked.
Oh mate, you are all the way. You are all the way in. So it's funny. Charlie tells me, Kosi, you have to know the history so that you know the future, right? Before I met Charlie, it was really that history is something that I did when I was at school, and I don't want to do it again. But once Charlie mentioned it, I started doing a lot more reading about the history, and then came across that there was a time in the history that when people start painting on canvases, they were oh, that's not real art, because real art is what's on chapels and all that. And now we are going to the same thing with the digital art. Oh, that's not real art. Come on. So
I've experienced this in my own career. When I started customizing sneakers in the early 2000s, everyone told me I was making fakes. Everyone told me I was just ripping off artwork. And then, 5 years later, I'm in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. I'm in the National Gallery of Victoria. I've designed shoes for Jordan brand.
Oh, well
Michael
done.
Jordan has my shoes. It's funny how, if you were just dedicated to what you're passionate about and you can get through that like initial phase and you just stay true to what you want to do, like the audience will eventually shift their mindset to come along for the ride. And like, it wasn't easy at the start, like getting all that hateful feedback, but like I was just persistent because I was doing it for me. I wasn't doing it for anybody else. And I think that like when I create artwork, the biggest mistake an artist can make, I think, is trying to make something for everyone. I only really make artwork that I like, and I found that through that lens, I've been able to foster and create an audience that likes my aesthetic and wants to be a part of that universe or artwork or whatever. So yeah, I hear you totally, because like I literally lived that. Like, I was getting so much hate online when I started customizing sneakers, and then there was only 2 people in the world doing it for a job, me and my very good friend Sabotage in Singapore. And now go look up in custom sneakers on Instagram, and there'd be 10,000, 100,000 pairs posted a day. Like, it's just crazy how things change.
No, that's crazy.
So can I ask you to, and I don't know how you would describe this, I guess, you just said that you create art that you like. How much of a balancing act is that for you when working for, a brand or something that obviously has a vision in their mind, but it's got to be difficult, I would imagine.
It was really hard at the start, mate. Like, so I tried to be super commercial at the start, and my friend Sabotage in Singapore gave me some advice. He's like, if you just keep creating artwork based on things that you like, they're just going to hire the people who make the original artwork, not you. And I kind of have, after that point in time in that conversation, that was kind of like an unlock moment for me, where I was like, all right, I'm going to take the commercial hit and maybe make less money over the next 2 years and try and establish a style that I don't have to sign my name on the canvas, or I don't have to sign my name on the artwork for people to know that it's mine and me. And I took that risk financially, and like I can tell you, over that 2 years, trying to establish that like IP and brand in the art world was not working for me financially. But I'm in a privileged position now that, like, if Kid Robot come to me, or Globe, or I do customs for Lego and all this stuff, like they come to me for my eye, like my use of color, my style, and then what I do is I put their branded spin on my aesthetic. So I try and like compromise the two. But I would say, like, starting out to artists, like the biggest piece of advice I can give them is don't try and copy someone else. Like, you can be inspired. The only reason I know how to draw is because I copied graffiti out of graffiti books for years, like trying to do graffiti and like, why does this work and how does this letter work with this and this style? And I taught myself by copying other artists, but when I came time to like come out as an artist and sell art, I wanted to make sure that I had my own branding and IP. So I'm lucky that, like, and to be fair, brands won't come to you because you're a good painter. They're going to come to you because they want something that you have, and it's traditionally going to be your audience for IP or experience. So if you don't have an identifiable style, you probably don't have a chance of working with a brand.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Hey, I'm very concerned about the time, conscious about the time, because you have to shoot off pretty fast. As the last question, I'm going to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your sneaker cards, because I'm super keen on those ones. Wink, wink. But with the NFTs, I'm like super cool. I would like to hear about your the other NFT projects and what you're working on as well, as closing points. That'd be fantastic, man.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for asking. So Sneaker Cards is a sort of, the idea around that to me was creating like a blockchain, like forever identifiable archive of the artwork that I've contributed to the sneaker scene over the 20-year career that I've had, and creating like a deck of cards essentially that are momentous customs for me, and kind of help set me on the path from painting shoes on my bed in my parents' house to having a studio and having a career completely different than what I thought I was going to have at 17 or 18. So Sneaker Cards are I would say, like, representation of what got me to here today and what will set me up for where I'm going in the future. So the utility of Sneaker Cards is pretty simple. We release short series of Sneaker Cards, so we're getting ready for Series 2 drop at the moment. We drop 10 to 15 a series. We do like a raffle or a giveaway at the end of every 15, and that is for a pair of customs. So I design a pair of customs for the winner of the raffle, and it's a merch giveaway. I would say outside of that, the most important utility is that it'll be the Genesis pass for what I'm building in my project that will be called Roboghosts. So the Roboghost is actually the narrative and IP world that I built to answer the earlier question. I was like, how do I have an identifiable style? And I was watching Donnie Darko drinking vodka one night at home, and I'm like, had this idea, and I'm like, oh, I was gonna be like just this robot. I was just gonna like work in a bank. I wasn't gonna like it. And I was like, what happens to a robot when they're no longer with us? Like, what would a robot ghost look like? And I just started drawing these characters. And then by the end of the night, I wrote like this 4-page narrative around this world, like this dystopian future they lived in. And for the last 15 years, I've been drawing these characters, and every toy I've designed, every sneaker I've designed, I haven't told the companies, but I've been hiding the IP in the product. So, you get my first pair of shoes from Globe from 2009. The whole insole is Roboghost arms.
Yeah.
Same with the Kid Robot toys that I designed like 4 or 5 years ago. The whole inside of the box is Roboghosts. So this is the opportunity to bring like that narrative to life for the first time.
Yeah.
It will be through the lens of like a generative PFP. We'll probably do less than 10K. It'll be like 3,000 or 4,000. We're going to do heaps of giveaway. We've got brand partnerships and sneaker collabs and all sorts of stuff to wrap into it. So we're kind of in a really bad time to launch an NFT project.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
I think what I'm doing at the moment is just trying to be present, provide as much value to people as I can, focus on sneaker cards because it's much smaller, and then build that authentic audience of followers that we can then reward when we launch Roboghosts and go into all of our brand partnerships and that bigger rollout for that. So that should happen as soon as we turn around, or maybe by mid-year, so I don't keep paying everyone month to month without launching, because you got to keep your team on, right? But yeah, it's been a really fun transition building that up. And I think the one thing I want to focus on Roboghost is like setting a realistic expectation for the audience and being super transparent and clear. Hopefully you guys feel like that's who I am as a person. I don't set unrealistic expectation. I am very transparent and honest, and I think there's big mistakes being made by projects at the moment by getting 100 ETH and saying they're going to build a metaverse and launch a globally recognized streetwear brand, and realistically, so many of these people don't have that experience.
Yeah.
So we're going to be really clear, really honest, really upfront. Everything will be declared. I saw a project get flooded yesterday for taking funds out the day after it minted. I'm like,
No.
maybe they're preparing for tax, guys, because they're
Yeah.
adults. Think about this stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think the thing I'm most excited about is giving back to the people that buy in. So whether that is through the product and sneakers or whatever, that's cool. The toys we design, that's cool too. But we're going to have consultation days where we have the opportunity to provide feedback for people that are building and information, and building communities. Like I've illustrated a few times. I've run so many websites, built so many forums. I give art classes for schools and stuff. I am a giving person. So for me, getting a community of people that are thriving together and working towards something like that, and then if sneakers blow up, I'm going to be in early and I want to be the sneaker guy. So I've got to make sure me and the group of people that we get behind us are at the forefront of that space too. So thank you for asking. We'll do so many spaces and roll out information over the coming months. But the Roboghost Twitter is up. If you like the artwork, it's already there. There's some teasers for what's coming. And Sneaker Cards Season 2 will launch soon. We're doing votes to let the community decide what shoes to put in Season 2. So that's been fun too.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been following.
Do you want to let everybody know that's listening, how on Twitter they can find the Roboghosts?
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so the Twitter is just called the Roboghosts. I'm Sekure D with a K. And the Sneaker Cards has its own Twitter, just Sneaker Cards. I managed to get that early.
Yeah.
I thought the story would be gone. But all of them are fine. You can find all of the links off my link tree, which is on the Sekure D Twitter, which is kind of my main home. And then those are kind of all the portals around which I work every day. And thank God we can schedule tweets, hey? Otherwise, I spend all day on Twitter managing 3 or 4 accounts, but we do what we can.
100%. Right. Thank you so much for your time today, Sekure, because I know you got quite a lot going on, and you still put aside this time aside, and that's bringing so much value to us, and then also the community as well. And like you said, you mentioned you are a giving person, and we are the same, and that's why I really want you on the podcast. And we always pick who we want to thing, because like you said initially, it's like, oh, it's okay, you can call me this name or that, because I'm all fully docs, and we are like about that as well. And I think it's cool. Not, we don't saying like everyone has to be docs to have a project, but it's good to have some people to see your face, and it's good to have that repo as well. And the best time to build is now. I mean, like Forbes was founded, in the hard times, and look where they are. And yeah, you're doing some great stuff, mate. Keep the good work, and we are here to support you in any way you need. And we do support few others as well. So yeah, we are here to support, mate. Keep doing what you're doing. Bring good to the world.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to have me on. I enjoy speaking to you guys, and hopefully, when things start to ramp up, maybe we can circle back and I can give you an update on where we're at. But
that's cool.
Yeah, thank you for your time today. It was awesome. I always have fun talking about sneakers. I can do it all day. So yeah, have a great rest of the afternoon, and yeah, I'm sure I'll see you on Twitter soon.
Yeah, see you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you so
to
much,
meet you,
everyone.
mate.
See you later. Bye. Go. All right, guys.
Did you cancel that?
No, it's all right. Let's we have still got the space going.
Oh,
So, yeah,
because
so-
we're 15 minutes early.
15 minutes early, right? Because Sekure had to leave. But thank you so much for that time. That's that's great. And yeah, and I hope we added some value here. I mean, like definitely Sekure did.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's been around, hasn't he? In the brands and his art, and I'm gonna have to go follow Sekure, I think, after this, Cozy, and also Roboghosts.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
I think everyone should.
I think everyone should follow Sekure,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
given what he has brought and what he's doing, I think that's what adding value means. Like everyone says like, oh, we are building, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's building is like you can always say it, but doing, I think that's a different thing. Execution is what really speaks louder than anything else, right? So
Yeah.
anything else you want to
I
bring
think
in?
the biggest takeaway that I got from that was stay true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what you want to do.
That's important.
Just
isn't it?
stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be swayed. You
Yeah.
know?
From what's the next shiny thing?
Well,
I mean-
not just the next shiny thing, but especially like speaking to the art. Don't try to do what
What
you
everyone else
think
thinks.
somebody wants you to do.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Make it yours.
Yeah. Keep your uniqueness true to yourself, and
Yeah.
obviously there's a balancing act there, as we discussed.
Yes.
But
Yeah. I mean, can I
always hold on to that, as he said. Yeah.
Can I bring something up? I know that Sekure didn't want to talk about too much, but I want to bring back the Porsche, the NFT project. So
Yeah. Can we
The
talk
reason
about Kid Called Beast?
yeah, the kid called Beast, we can bring that afterwards. So we can finish it on a positive note.
Yeah.
So with the Porsche, what is your take on this, Craig? We know it's a project that you're trying to get into it, but what's the thing that you?
I guess I expected some more specifics from it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, here's NFT. I understood there was over 130,000 variations by the time.
150,000, yeah.
150,000 was it, that you can customize, which is quite a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people to get, something unique that they want. But like a lot of other projects, the value that was going to be provided was very vague for me.
Very thin,
It's
right?
like, buy this thing now and we'll give you something later.
Yeah.
Or you'll be entitled to something later, or we'll get you something, but that something is never meant.
Never mentioned. Yeah. What about you, Charlie?
Well, with me, I would say the 0.9 ETH,
Yeah.
probably a bit high for a first product. I went through the website. I
Yeah.
couldn't understand what they were going to deliver. Like, it's sort of like a metaverse or digital, but it was just like, what is it? Could you give me some utility? Because I look at it, Porsche's a really big, well-known brand,
It's a
well
global
established.
brand,
I love Porsche. Don't
Yeah, that's
get
the
me
thing.
wrong.
We
But-
love
Yeah.
Porsche, right?
But I felt this was just, to me, it felt like it was just pushed
Yeah.
together
Rushed
and put out there, and let's make some ETH.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it didn't feel like the Porsche brand to me, put it that way.
Yeah.
And I was a bit lost in trying to understand what their goal was, or if they even just had a simple roadmap with
Yeah.
a few dates and dot points. And
I mean, for me, when I looked at the Porsche website and the NFT Porsche website, they are, is it talk and cheese?
But chalk and cheese, yeah.
Talk and cheese, right?
If you'll pardon the pun, yeah, the NFT website didn't quite have the same polish.
Yes,
as Porsche.
the attention to detail from being Porsche from Germany and all that, it did not flow through, and I feel like it just like, oh, let's put some heat. Oh, they must have taken some time, but it shows like
It wasn't bad, but
it
it
wasn't
just
bad, but the attention to detail was
it didn't
not there.
feel like Porsche.
It did not feel like
Yeah.
Porsche at all, right? And I think especially for the hardcore fans, not fans of Porsche, I think they went there like, okay, look, it doesn't talk to them. I feel, it doesn't talk. It might talk to the Web3 blockchain people who are in the Porsche, but hardcore Porsche, I'm like, only 900 something got minted out of that, right? Out
and
of
that's probably
1,000.
a hope of flipping.
Yeah,
you
hope
know,
of
a lot of
flipping,
flippers
exactly.
In there going, Porsche, okay, if it mints out, I can go sell it for
Sell it
double
something
or-
else.
But yeah, even like the I didn't mint one.
Yeah.
Have a look, but the image of the NFT itself, I was like, come on, guys, couldn't you have put
Yeah.
more effort in there? It was just real bland.
Because someone
for
just took a
me.
picture and then they decided, okay, that's what they're going to put in there. Like, a bit lazy. So, alright, so we don't want to dash them, but it's good on them for,
But in saying that, we don't know what they've got in store for the future
exactly.
of that project.
I mean, that's
so it
yes.
wasn't clear to me,
Yeah.
but they could have a lot
100%.
piled in there, but they're just holding back to see.
And the beauty of the NFT projects is that you can keep on bring value to it for the rest of life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like someone else comes in, like some CMO comes in and like, we want to pivot, and they can pick it up and run.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep the believers there. I mean, like people who, whether they say flip it or whatever, there's always someone will be owning that NFT.
I think the biggest risk they face is jumping in similar to what they have right now.
Yes.
And then going, oh, well, that didn't work. Like, we won't bother doing that again anytime soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then those brands get left behind.
Left behind,
Because
yes.
And it's as Sekure said, like Nike's got the blueprint
Yes.
of Web 2 moving into Web 3 business.
100%, right? Cool. Okay, let's for the last 5 minutes, Charlie. All right, you can start about you forwarded me into an NFT project.
I was joking. I was joking about that, but like look at the market we're in. Even Sekure mentioned, but there are projects that are doing well. I've been. A kid called Beast has been out for maybe a year and a half, and they just worked on building a community and sharing 3D art and concepts and communicating. And their mint went live a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, and they got their Twitter account hacked, but they come together and built that project, and then coming in
tomorrow.
and you've got your Friday American, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
So
No. Wednesday their time, our Thursday.
Yeah.
for anybody listening that's not familiar with it, can you describe what the project is?
So it's 20 different communities of people's, I would say, different personalities, or hobbies, personalities,
That's more like professionals. Like it could be like you got the real estate guy, you got the investors, you got the musicians, you got the hippies, you got the IT guys, you got Wagme, the social media influencer like Nathan.
Because when you said personalities, I thought I could have all 18 of those in
I actually tried to convince Lawrence this morning into Michelin. Michelin.
I can't remember.
Whatever the last one is, but there's a foodies group in there too.
Yep.
And we know Lawrence loves cooking his marvelous food, and we're like, and we got one for Blockstars for Bill Hatton,
Bill Hatton.
Is business, and we're
business.
looking at Leap Labs, which is a developer community group. And
as Blockstars we went in as well, and it's good to be part of that community, and how well we can be into helping, because this will give the opportunity to be part of communities that like-minded people. So we got the developer one, and we got the investor one with business and mentorship as well goes in there. We got another one for like fashion and brand. We got one for influencers for social media. So I think between us, I think we got that covered.
Yeah.
So-
But there's always room for one more, Craig.
Come on, Craig.
Well,
You're liquid that
I'll
shrimps.
show you this afterwards.
I think,
But it's a
Yeah,
cool little
it's a cool
community, and you don't know when it's that well known and it's got a good following, good community. Like
Yeah.
I would say, I wouldn't be surprised if Gary V's in a few of those groups as well.
I mean, the thing that I liked about it, because we were in that 5 minutes to the mint. That's when it got Twitter got hacked, and myself, I was in that. I saw Charlie. I think you were in that space maybe as well. But we were in
working
that
in
meeting.
space, working in space.
So and they got hacked, and it's. I don't think it's. I'd like to say it's good, but as a business, we experience the emotional roller coaster. So what happens, like now we understand, okay, we had to look after our security now, right? So then I go and, disconnect our Twitter account with all third-party connections, and we got some hardware security, devices.
Like I do with my wallet on a regular basis. Yeah.
Okay, that's what you do with your wallet. I should do the same thing then. Right? So these are the things that, it's, when someone explains it, like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like, why, if they got the token, they can, connect it through the back, as a reverse, to the back to the API. And as IT guys, as programmers, we know this could happen, right? But have we ever, being, rather than being reactive, have been, proactive? No, we haven't. Apart from you. Right?
I try to be, but you can't.
You can't,
cover
right?
everything.
Because there's so much.
It's just like the innovation when someone innovates something, as I was saying before, the Sekure, and you go, oh yes, that works. I get it. I like it. This is probably going to be the standard.
Yes.
When something bad happens, which could happen in many ways that you don't think of. There's a lot of smart people out there trying to attack everything. And then you see it, they got bypassed through a token of another third-party website into there, and it's like, that makes sense. We better go check what we've got on ours, you know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think it's a constant learning, and but I saw the project. I was like, that project is not. I saw it like 0 point something, like 2 or 3 or something like that. But and then Charlie comes in like, oh, Charlie, you had to go look into this one. I love the website, and that's what it took me like, it only took Charlie like, I think it's about 3.5 seconds.
He gave you that look.
He gave me that, like our eyes connected, and I'm like, okay, I'm in now. You know what I mean? I'm in. And then Nathan got in as well.
I looked Cozzy in the eyes. I said, "You NFT," and then the world just went rainbows. And,
He heard nothing after NFT.
with a lovely song in the background. But it's cool. Jump on the A Kid Called Beast website, akidcalledbeast.com, and take the test to see what community percentage you'd be in. So
because you have a questionnaire, and then you answer some questions, and then it gives you this is your 90% here, 83% there, 5% here, and then it gives you based on that. So and that's the beauty of it. And actually the reason why we are saying this NFT, we are bringing that up, is because they've been doing things a little bit differently. We're not saying everyone just go and buy it. It's not investment advice or anything like that. But all we are saying is like, look, these are the new ways people are doing, and then post come up with something like that. It's like worlds apart. And Nike is doing cool stuff, and I think this is what it is. I think brands have to be innovative. They have to think a little bit differently.
Well, even like the Australian, the Artball team, like what they done. I'm like, that works. I understand it, and it's amazing.
We touched on it earlier. The pace at which everything is moving in this space, you can't do what you could do 6 months ago.
Yes, you can't do that.
Yeah, and it's been like that for many years now. You just new things come, and you just got to keep adapting. Like, hey, 2015, 16, 17, you could create a token and a white paper, and next minute it's got
There you go.
700 million valuation. Now you need a website, you need interactivity, you've got to have a new concept because people have been burnt and now they're learning. And with NFTs, it brings another dimension to community as well.
100%.
With that community aspect, which you've got to be on top of.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna let's call it time because I think we've just gone over the 1 hour mark. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us from Insta, Twitter, and YouTube. So, guys, if you have any questions, hit us up, and we're more than happy to answer. But yeah, and thank you again for your time and being part of the community. Love everyone's inputs, and if you have input, please send to us, and we're here to learn ourselves as well. And
don't forget the meetup.
And yeah, and also there's a meetup happening on the 7th of February in Gold Coast at the island. So what we have done is we have changed. So it seems at the island hotel, but we have taken a different approach for this upcoming meetup.
Yeah.
It's going to be a innovation pitch night, which means that at the moment we are only opening up for the pitchers to be there in person, physically in person there. So we are really this is our first pitch night. So we have invited people from Gold Coast and Brisbane to come and pitch for the ideas, and we got really cool pitches at the moment coming through to us, and keep them coming. And also if you're into learning how to pitch or to see how it's going, and it's a networking night as well. We have a lot of networking. We got awesome pizza there as well. So if you're in Brisbane and around Gold Coast, we invite you to join us on the 7th of Feb from 5:30 onwards.
And from anywhere else, stay tuned, because we had a couple of people, a few requests from outside of here and some international ones. So.
Of course, yeah. Nathan, can we go live from the event?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I love those 3-letter words. Yes.
Right.
In that case, I think we will do a live broadcast from on the day. So, yeah, on that note, thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. See you
Thanks,
later.
guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Subscribe.